Okay, greetings. My name is Jesse. This is my channel. I've been away for a while, but I've realized that I've said I don't have to review the complete Bible for the message that I wanted to get out is that 1611 King James Bible is the best Bible to read. The importance of reading the Bible, that was part of the message. Um, Jesus Christ, salvation, Him dying on the cross for the forgiveness of our sins, and that all we have to do is believe and invite Him into our lives. A simple statement like Jesus Christ, I accept you as my Lord and Savior, is more than sufficient from a person to invite Jesus Christ into their life. Now, yes, this is being live streamed right now, and um, I still have things to say. And ironically, humanity isn't getting better, humanity is getting worse. And that within itself presents its own challenges. And we, excuse me, are suffering the consequences of those challenges. Now, I'm a very serious person and I like to stay focused. I was watching this documentary. I don't think it needs to be mentioned. Um, but, excuse me. But what caught me was that some of the things that were said in this video. Now, I did want to make some statements, so some general statements. So let me go ahead and make those general statements. The first general statement is that RT, if you ever see this in a green square, RT stands for Russia, okay, today. And Russia today is no more than a propaganda arm of Russia, of Putin, and it's not real news. It's not even a real documentary. Excuse me. If you've seen any of my videos, you'll understand my cough. And the only time that I cough when I talk is when I do these videos. Okay, so that's the first point. This documentary was done with clips from Russia Today. Excuse me. Let me prove that I can spell. We don't need that S there. Okay. Um, and that's important because you're not getting real information. Not that there's any real information out there anymore. Um, the second point that I wanted to make, okay, um, well, let's just start. Let's start where I wanted to start. And we all know that evil, it represents, let me get this straight, it represents itself, yep, in murder, rape, death, okay? But also, it represents itself in our angst. Oops, definitely not proving that I can spell there. So let me try it again, okay? And by this I mean our pain and suffering. Because our pain and suffering usually leads to something. It leads to attacking our spouse, our children, our neighbors, our friends, that inability to feel like we're in control of our lives, like something is going to get us. Um, and that's the modern, and I bring it up here because I said this before. What is common among all people, regardless of where they are, is pain and suffering. I was watching documentaries on, oh boy, doesn't matter. I remember, doesn't matter. Some, area where people are still living like off the land. The women don't have bras or shirts, and the men only have a little loin cloth, and they're out there hunting and conversation about cattle, whatever. Okay, but the point is that even they were suffering. They're not part of a modern industrial complex, with everything that we see around us, and they have pain and suffering in their life. And out of that pain and suffering, comes murder, rape, and theft, and road rage, and everything else that we see with it. Now, let me get to the central core, and this may actually not take that much. What this documentary about the what I am comfortable calling the Illuminati, the powerful, the rich and powerful who control and who appear that they are going to um, do something. It is evident to me. I'm working with a second system here, excuse me. And why is it on my own desktop I cannot find what I'm looking for? Okay. Um, yeah, you know, Bibi Netanyahu just released a report on information that the Israeli secret police, what is called the Mossad, got their hands on, and putting, it's bringing to light the lies that those who control Iran were telling about having no desire to make nuclear weapons. I found it strange that Donald Trump gets elected president, and all of a sudden there's this push to go to war with North Korea. North Korea in itself, the leadership of North Korea, the military of North Korea, presents no threat to the United States of America whatsoever because the military and Kim Jong Un clearly recognize that if they launch one nuclear weapon in the direction of the United States of America, there's going to be 200 nuclear weapons coming in their direction. And that's what mutually assured destruction is. And North Korea does not have enough nuclear weapons to go toe to toe with the United States of America. And ultimately, what happens is the rest of the world gets into it. China gets into it, India gets into it, Pakistan, Russia, Iran, everybody with nuclear weapons gets into this fight, and you do have mutually assured destruction. So the need to push United States into war with North Korea, um, when Mr. Trump gets elected, something sinister is going on. Every day we see, things that you would expect would never happen, like Bibi Netanyahu coming to the cameras and saying the Mossad has collected this information against Iran. Now, Iran poses a serious threat to Israel. Iran poses a serious threat to everybody. And this is where I'm coming to, that we are fighting evil. You know, let me see here. We can just, okay, I'm gonna bring this back here. Gotta bring this down. Okay, so when the United States of America went into Vietnam, there's a lot of debate. Oh, one of these days I'm gonna understand what I'm doing. Okay, there's a lot of debate of whether we should have gone there. And the quick answer that I can give, even though, okay, well, let me just make my statement and then I'm what. We had to go because evil was preparing a home in Vietnam that evil was going to use in order to work his way up into the United States of America and destroy America. Communism. The tool of Satan, one tool of Satan, communism, was going to establish a base in Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Korea, and work its way into the United States. That evil was going to trump the United States. Because we saw that Argentina, Cuba. Today, in our secular world, you cannot mention evil. Imagine if Donald Trump came to the podium and said, we are at war with Satan. That means we have to send our military into Syria. Imagine if Donald Trump came and said, we are at war with Satan. That means we have to send our military into the African continent, into the Latin American nations. Imagine if Trump came to the microphone and said, we are at war with evil. Therefore, we have to invade Canada and Mexico. You cannot, in this secular world today, say the reason we went to Vietnam was to fight evil. The reason we went to Iraq was to fight evil. We didn't go to kill children. We didn't go in a false war. We went because there were serious threats to the United States of America, generated by Satan himself, for the purposes of destroying a free nation, where the opportunity to encounter Jesus Christ either by design or by accident exist. We are fighting evil. And we were not wrong. Kuwait, we didn't go to protect Kuwait's oil. Saddam Hussein was working for Satan while he was alive. He is dead now. He's still working for Satan because he's in hell. Excuse me. And this point needs to be made. There were some soldiers who were talking about the hardship that they had to go through while in combat. Well, as long as Satan exists, as long as his angels exist, his devils, his demons, American soldiers are going to be sent to foreign nations to protect what's good and decent. You know, I was thinking about this, and this America could very easily bring home all her military troops all over the country. Excuse me, all over the world. America has a lot of airmen, Navy, Marines, Army, all over the world, in many countries. And a lot of people could say, well, you know, you don't need to be there. You're interfering, you're attacking people, you're harming people. The reality is that whether you know it or not, whether your representatives, senators, presidents tell you, or whether your military leaders tell you or not, you, as a member of the United States of America, whether you are a citizen or a resident, are part of the war on evil. Let's not call it the war on terror. I'm going to go to my writing tablet here, see, and rename this, put that down, bring this up. Okay, war on evil. Can I center it? Yes, I think I can. I'm working with two things. I should only be working with one thing. It is important, and the reason that I would even dare to come here and speak on this issue, because it's important. Because we get so much of, you know, rhetoric. So many people producing documents on the fallacy of September 11th in the World Trade Centers. George W. Bush was not running around in the basement of the World Trade Centers with dynamite under his arms, tying it to the columns so they could come down. This is not a false flag. The United States of America was attacked by terrorists. The United States of America was attacked by terrorists, and these terrorists are working for Satan. My God does not ask me to be a what kind of fighter? He's not asking me to purge the world of evil, to be a holy warrior, and to purge the world of evil. He's not asking me in that. He's asking me to preach his love, and the love that is proved by his crucifixion on the cross, by him being nailed to a cross. He's asking me to show his love. And these people who read the Quran, who go to the Muslim temples, who who think that the rest of us are wrong, their God is asking them to prove their love to him with murder, with rape, with murder and rape of children. That's evil. That is evil personified. There is no reason for us to have patience on that. Mr. Trump was correct, and is correct, in wanting to stop terrorists who are mingling with refugees from Arab nations to come into this country. Mexico's evil. The people of Mexico are evil. The people of Mexico have destroyed their country. No one destroyed their country. They destroyed their country. When we talk about angst, pain and suffering, the human psychological dynamic, and how individual tragedy manifests itself in attitude, political attitude, and a political attitude that is dangerous. That's a lot of that in America, but there's a lot of more in Mexico. And again, in a secular world, um, people in the military, people in the Congress, just are not going to come to the microphone and say, well, you may not like that we went to Iraq. You may not like that we went to Afghanistan. You may not like that we're in Syria. You may not like that we're in some countries in the African continent. Uh, you may not like that we have to have a policy to restrict uh, terrorists from Arab nations trying to sneak into America with the refugees. You may not like all of that, but if we don't do any of this, evil takes over and the United States of America ceases to exist. Um, I'm not going to argue with people who say the United States of America is not a safe nation. But look at the United States of America is not a safe nation. I was watching a documentary on Baltimore. I was watching a documentary on Detroit, on the homeless problem in Los Angeles and Oakland. And I have to say that the worst of society were the reasons that all these troubles have manifested themselves. I didn't see anything great in the African Americans who were protesting what happened to Freddie Gray. Now, let me tell you something. I value the life of Freddie Gray. He should not have died. Every person in custody of law enforcement has to be provided with safety. It is the responsibility of the members of law enforcement who have a person in custody to make sure that that person is not harmed while in their custody. You do not put a person in a armored vehicle and don't put a seatbelt on them and then be surprised that the individual is on the floor of that armored vehicle having hit the back of his neck against an extended bolt. There shouldn't be any extended bolts to hit somebody in the back of the neck, and of course they're going to be bouncing around in the back of that van. All law enforcement officers who had Mr. Freddie Gray in their custody and failed to provide for his basic security, his basic safety, should have been found guilty of murder, not manslaughter, murder. But the people who came out to protest in Baltimore, confused. I listened to their own words. They are just confused. America is the land of opportunity. There are obstacles. I live in stupid El Paso, Texas. There are many obstacles for me in El Paso, Texas. Many. Hordes of obstacles. I find my way. I think you can see this. No, you cannot, but I'm going to show you to. You know, even though I graduated with a bachelor's of science studying psychology, I have not been able to find a good position. I still find a way. And this is only what I keep to do business. The rest is in the bank. I'm supposed to be working. My day off is Thursday. But I did my count and I'm ahead. Well, I'm ahead of the game. I'm beyond schedule, which is a good thing because there's going to be some low days, going to be some low months. Point being is that I didn't stop just because I found myself in stupid El Paso, Texas. There's this idiot where I conduct business who's decided to be a pest. It's okay, I can be a pest also. I'm not going to stop conducting business just because this individual, has decided to be a crazy idiot. So the idea that life is hard, I'm going to cop an attitude and then hold everybody else responsible, blame everybody else. It just doesn't work. It doesn't function. And I know there's people who who that's what they want. That's what they want to present. And I mention it here because it has serious impact in our society. See, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong for working hard. I'm not wrong for paying taxes. I'm not wrong for preaching positive psychology so people will be able to deal with their own depression and their own anxiety. I'm not wrong for being a responsible member of society. Every individual who wants to live off of my money is wrong, and that keeps society disjointed, not unified. If everything that I am building can be taken by someone else, ultimately the question is why am I working? Okay. And if you don't have mentally healthy people who can see what is going on, I don't much care for major corporations who abuse individuals. I understand that there's abuse. That has nothing to do with the big picture. And the big picture is we are fighting evil. The reason we went to Vietnam, that was reason for the Mexican-American War. It, if you look at some documentaries, you'll be convinced that at that time the American government performed a false flag in order to invade Mexico. The reality is that the mindset, the socialism, the communism that exists in Mexico is dangerous to America and needed to be stopped. The communist mindset that exists in Mexico right now is a danger to the United States of America and needs to be stopped. When you you can say all you want to on the superficial. We should not have gone. People can make those statements that we should not have gone to Iraq, we should not have gone to Afghanistan. People can make those mistakes. But if you lose sight of the big picture of the war being evil, then you're talking foolishness. You're talking out of your ass. And the only reason I come is because it needs to be said. It is something that we need to be fully aware of. Um, I'm glad that Mr. Trump took another position with North Korea. But look, here you have, and he's not doing it for any altruistic reasons. A good person. He doesn't miss his cousins in South Korea, and I'm talking about Kim Jong Il, Kim Jong Un. He's doing it because he wants money. The country literally is dirt poor, and the people are going to rebel against the military and Kim Jong Un if they're hungry. If you want change in troubled areas, I would have to suggest that a better approach would be instead of sending them money, don't send them money, and then the people get frustrated from sheer hunger and poverty that they revolt against the government. And I can tell you, it's obvious, without a question, that those in control of power want to keep other nations in trouble, fighting amongst themselves, in disarray, dysfunctional, functional dysfunctionalism, where it looks like Mexico looks like it's working, it is not. It's not. There's no true collection of taxes. There's no true economy. There's no true generation of wealth. So, the point being, when you see these so-called documentaries on the Illuminati, the Federal Reserve, uh, the so-called mistake in Vietnam and Cambodia and Laos, the so-called mistake of Reagan's intervention in Iran, the whole Iran Contra, you know, things need to be done because If Reagan had come to the American people and said, we cannot allow Satan to use communism in Nicaragua, Honduras, Grenada against the United States of America, people would have called the man crazy and dragged him off to a loony bin. But that's exactly what is happening. That's exactly where we are. We're fighting evil. Mexico's evil. We're fighting evil is alive and well in Mexico, in the people of Mexico. There are degrees of evil. Excuse me. There are degrees of evil. Americans are evil. Americans, for whatever reason, are suffering. But they're not dealing with their pain and suffering in a healthy manner. They're dealing with their pain and suffering in an unhealthy manner. They're copying a bad attitude. They're getting the attitude that everything sucks, nothing works, why bother? They're blaming other people. They're blaming politicians. Nobody promised us a rose garden. It doesn't have to be a perfect society. We have to make opportunities, and we need to find the use resources that are good resources and utilize those resources to provide ourselves with a life and to provide a life for a family. And part of that is keeping tabs on those so-called elected officials. the, the only thing the Democrats have offered is hatred, vile, poisonous hatred. Obama was supposed to fix America, and all Obama did was double the national debt. Obama got into office and he did everything that he said was wrong for George W. Bush to do. The great white hope, Obama, got into office and did everything that Reagan did, that Clinton did, that Bush did, both Bushes, he did. He stood up for the Illuminati. He helped the banks. He helped General Motors, AIG, and many other American corporations get the tax dollars of. Why is it when there's a crisis of corporations who are supposedly too big to fail, doesn't the government give the money directly to the people? Instead of giving $800 billion to major corporations, they could have just distributed that money among the people or among family units. Because there's probably 100 million family units. And having done that, it wouldn't have mattered if the corporations failed. But all of you liberals, all of you Democrats are wrong. I understand Nancy Pelosi. I understand who she works with. I understand that she needs to toe the line of her corporate donors. The same thing for the Republicans. We've seen this with Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. They're towing the political line of their corporate donors. A lot that Mr. Trump does concerns me. There is no border wall. There is no repeal and replace. There's more spending, more national debt. But Americans, you need to step up and up your game. You're allowing yourself to be mental misfits. You're allowing your depression and your anxiety to dominate you. You're allowing yourself the negativity to dominate your life. If you wanted to be a nurse and it didn't work out that way, it's not the end of the world. And there's a necessity for healthy Americans. I'm never going to arbitrate for healthy Mexicans. I live in the United States of America. The United States of America is my home. I will work to protect and defend my home. And America doesn't have a Democrat problem. America doesn't have a Republican problem. America does have a major business corporation problem that abuses people. But America really has a mental health problem of the individual. We are the problem. There's no reason for America to be in such disarray. The news media can mouth off all it wants, can criticize all it wants, can preach the negative all it wants. It should not poison the mind of healthy people. Healthy people should be able to stand up for themselves and build what they want. Now, I will never arbitrate, or defend or promote homosexual rights. There are no homosexual rights. There are human rights, and all human beings get human rights. All people within American borders get constitutional rights. There is no need for special rights. Again, I'm going to say this again. I was reading the state of Texas Constitution, and has a special section for rights for females. Aren't women people? Aren't they human beings? If they're people and human beings, then they're protected by the rest of the Constitution. Special, there didn't need to be a special section for female rights in the Texas State Constitution. It's about human rights, the rights of the individual. And as far as I know, women are individuals. So, to recap, when we are hearing this, Iraq was wrong, Afghanistan was wrong, 9/11 was done by the government, the American government, or the Israelis. There's stories of Israelis in vans jumping up and down, celebrating. We are at war with evil. Things are being done to fight this war, to fight the tools of the war, like communism, even socialism, to fight people like Putin and Hitler. And we shouldn't automatically assume that something like invading Iraq and invading Afghanistan was wrong. I know Afghanistan was not wrong. I know Iraq was not wrong. I'm not going to relitigate it. If you want to believe what you want to believe, you can go ahead. I said it before. The only thing that was wrong with Iraq and Afghanistan was politics and cheap, low down and dirty politics of the Democrats. It's the only thing that was wrong with Afghanistan and Iraq. That the Democrats wanted to see George Bush look bad. That the media had an interest in making George W. Bush look bad. There was no evidence of any. People say there was no evidence of weapons of mass destruction. There was no evidence of what the news media was supposed to be reporting. The news media is opinion now. That Scarborough person that Laura Ingraham is always talking about? That guy's opinion. He does not present any facts whatsoever. Joe Scarborough on MSNBC does not present any facts. Christina Amanpour, whatever her name is, no facts. Rachel Maddow, no facts. Zero facts. In fact, she made a fool of herself saying she had a hold of Donald Trump's taxes. Nothing whatsoever she presented, other than her attitude, her vile, ugly, nasty, negative attitude. That's all Rachel Maddow presented when she said she had the taxes of Trump and they showed that Trump was a bad person. She offered no evidence. There's no evidence of anything. There's no better plan from the Democrats. There's nothing on stopping irresponsible spending from the Congress. There's nothing on stopping evil Mexicans from coming into America and destroying American society. There's nothing about sometimes I forget and the Trump agenda is not the Trump agenda. It's the American agenda. It's the agenda of the people who put Mr. Trump in office. He didn't put himself in office. I hope Mr. Trump recognizes that. You did not put yourself in office, Mr. Trump. The people who understand the threat of illegal immigration put you in office. The people who understand the threat of terrorism put you in office. The people who understand the threat of irresponsible congressional spending put you in office. The people who understand that America cannot be the police officer of the world put you in office. And that's what you need to understand, and that's what you need to do. The people who understand the danger of Obamacare, and again, there's been no repeal or replace, those are the people who put you in office. And you're walking away from the people who put you in office, Mr. Trump. That's what you're doing. You're up there playing politics And for the most part, I'm going to say this: you're winning. You're manipulating these fools, and they don't even know they're being manipulated. Paul Ryan didn't even know he was being manipulated. I personally don't enjoy the circus. I like my stuff direct, honest, with integrity, and not games. You need to speak directly to the American people and tell them this person is your enemy. Paul Ryan is your enemy. Mitch McConnell is your enemy. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, everybody who doesn't understand that government needs to be as small as possible and the individual needs to be as large as possible is your enemy. The modern industrial complex does not offer employment to everybody. In fact, now it's offering employment to even less people. The only thing that means is you got to go out there and make your own opportunity. You're not stuck to that city. Nobody's got you there by gunpoint. You can move. You can move to where there are opportunities. People criticize Rockefeller, Morgan Chase. Who am I forgetting here? The guy with Standard Oil. Can't believe I'm forgetting. It doesn't matter. They were dirt poor. They came from meager backgrounds, and they built themselves into institutions. Henry Ford built himself into an institution. They weren't rich and powerful all their life. They built industries. Now, how come they had the ability to build an industry? You don't have the ability to build an industry. Bill Gates was a stupid, poor college student. And look at him now. Um, Facebook, same thing. Amazon, same. The guy in charge of Tesla. Forget his name. Doesn't matter. I mean, is there even an operational Tesla car on the roads of America? This guy may have had a great idea with battery operated cars and battery operated cars that could high performance, but where are they? He transitioned out of his great idea and moved into um, space travel, but he's not playing with his money. He's playing with our tax dollars. He's getting rich off of our tax dollars. And he's getting rich off of our tax dollars by failing. What is a person who is a failure doing with so much tax money? He hasn't succeeded at Tesla Motors. The owner of Tesla Motors has not succeeded at Tesla Motors, and he has not succeeded with his little space company. So we got some very weird standards of what qualifies for success. And then these individuals succeed and they get into a partnership with government to stifle the voice of freedom. Not the voice of conservatism, but the voice of freedom, liberty, independence. It's the individual who's supposed to find a way. It's not the individual controlled by government who is given a position in society, because most of the times that position in society is something they don't want. I was watching a fool, and I'll call him a fool. I'll call a fool to his face. But this person was happy harvesting earthworms that he's going to sell to fisher people. That's not why he was a fool. He was a fool because of the way he was doing it. But that's, some people just don't understand. They don't think at the level that I like things quiet, simple. Where you're not making a fool of yourself. We're not jumping up and down and yelling a whole bunch of stupid stuff. And lately, since Mr. Trump has gotten elected, that's how we see is a bunch of idiots jumping around up and down, yelling a whole bunch of stupid stuff. When I was watching that documentary on Baltimore, that's all I was watching. Stupid people yelling stupid stuff. We're trying to create a successful society. We are trying to create a successful society. How can we create a successful society with the foolish ideas that Hillary Clinton had? Bill Clinton had to be corrected. Bill Clinton lost the Congress, and he lost the Congress where the Congress didn't need him. The Congress was a veto proof Congress. That Congress could do anything, and all Bill Clinton could do was sit on the sidelines and suck his thumb. He was smart, and he realized if I sign some of these things, it's going to look good for me and it's going to look good for the Democratic Party. But if we did what Bill Clinton wanted to do, America would be worse than Obama. $20 trillion in debt is a greater threat to the United States of America than illegal immigration from Mexico, Muslim extremists, communism from Russia and China. You're not able to look at Venezuela, look at Brazil, look at Greece. Um, Shoot, just look at the whole African continent. Poor as dirt. Can't build anything. Why? They're human beings. They have the same brain that you and I have. Why can't they build anything? Not even the basics. Not even understanding the moon. Why is the moon important? Because the moon tells you when to plant. They don't even understand what region to plant in. The African continent is surrounded by oceans. There's fish in the ocean that you can eat. Rome wasn't always Rome. Greece wasn't always Greece. What else? Who else was Babylon? The Persians weren't always the Persians. It's Spain wasn't always Spain. Of course, Spain has fallen, but people worked and they built. In our modern society, I guess you're just not supposed to work and you're just not supposed to build. You're just supposed to complain. That's basically what social responsibility is, complaining. That's what social responsibility is, complaining. Not doing something for yourself, not doing something for your family, smoking marijuana, those little vape cigarettes. That's what you're supposed to do. Stupid haircuts and stupid skinny pants. That's what you offer society. And the rest of us who are actually working and building, we're supposed to turn all our money over to you. And those of us who understand that we're in a war against evil and things are being done to fight this war. If the United States of America didn't have nuclear weapons, we can literally say that Satan would win. If Israel didn't have nuclear weapons to defend herself, it would be over for Israel. If Israel didn't, bomb Saddam Hussein's nuclear manufacturing plant, it would be over for Israel. And that's an attack against evil. Saddam Hussein didn't have, which by the way, it was the French who built it. But that nuclear processing plant put Israel in jeopardy. And it was one of Satan's weapons to destroy humanity. And in the modern world, you can't say that. You cannot say that Satan is alive and Satan is trying to kill humanity. And that people understand this, and people in the shadows are doing what needs to be done to defend against communism, which is a tool of Satan, to defend against Islam, which is a tool of Satan, to defend against apathy and violence and aggression and protest and attitudes like Occupy Wall Street. I'm not a fan of major corporations. I understand the abuse of the human race by major corporations, but you don't know what's going on. If you have such a simplistic view, if you honestly believe that George W. Bush is responsible for destroying the World Trade Centers, something is seriously wrong with you. Trump was correct in bombing Syria when there was evidence of chemical weapons, because chemical weapons are a tool of Satan who wants to destroy the human race. And we are in a war against evil, and evil needed to be stopped, because if one individual gets comfortable using weapons of mass destruction like chemical weapons, then many other individuals will get comfortable. And if you have all these chemical weapons available, then one day they're going to be used against the United States of America. So all of it means is just grow up and look at the big picture. Vietnam was not wrong. Afghanistan was not wrong. Korea was not wrong. Unfortunately, we have to fight this fight. And we're going to be fighting this fight till forever, to the end of time. That means more wars. You know, the people of Iraq are responsible for Iraq, and the people of Iraq are responsible for the people of Iraq. The murderers, the terrorists in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Kuwait, in Saudi Arabia, in Jordan, in um, in the Palestine territory, in Lebanon, the people in that area are responsible. Are there any good and decent people in the Palestine territory? Anyone? One or two, who recognize that this idea of being holy warriors and purging the world of sin is wrong. Again, my God says to love and to work for what's good. My God says be an agent of good. But we have many agents of Satan. And if we don't fight them, it's over for all of us. And just fair warning, if you watch documentaries on YouTube or anywhere else, and they're preaching how wrong Vietnam was, how wrong the Korean conflict was, how wrong going into Iraq and Afghanistan, how wrong it was for the Ayatollah in Iran in the 70s that led to the capture of the embassy